So we'll go with the 13th of November.
What's that? Oh, we're live. Hi, everybody.
Hi. We'll talk after.
Yeah. So we are on our Wednesday mornings with Marianne. And everybody joining, feel free to type in questions into the comments. Marianne will answer them live for you. Anything that you may have to ask about earthbound spirits, energy portals, negative energy and curses, proper ways of smudging. I saw your last video, Marianne, you put up about, fairy folk. So maybe we should see if anybody wants to ask questions on the little fairies.
Yeah, today's the second and the last part of that. It was 2 parts. So last Wednesday and this today.
So do the fairies sneak in to stay warm in the house, or do they still prefer to be outside in wintertime?
They really don't come in. They really do stay outside. And they just jump into their own dimension so that I don't think they're cold. It's weird. They're not dead. They're alive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just strange little creatures. They truly are. I hear good stuff. I hear bad stuff about them. I think it's almost like people. There's good people and there's bad people, and I think that that's part of what they do too. But they just like mess with their water, or the 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. You pollute or you cut down trees that shouldn't be cut down, they get in your face. They really do.
Because generally, the couple times that they seem to have snuck here in the house, they weren't that great. They were not great roommates. They were little jerks. Sith, my kitty cat, didn't enjoy them being in here either.
They're especially with cats. Sometimes dogs, la 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 la, dogs don't always see them, but cats are a little bit more tuned into them. And cats are not their favorite creature. I could tell you that.
Sometimes I see those pictures of cats with a little fairy hanging out of their mouth. So I wonder if there's a little more truth to that than just the humor of,
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I don't know if they get old and die. I don't know if they just disappear. I don't know anything about them. I truly don't. I don't know. I've seen them, and they're cute, but they're not living in my house. So.
Now, is that something that you might be able to see through the Zoom sessions with people? I wonder.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm thinking no, but then I didn't think I could see ghosts on Zoom either, and I can. So I don't know. Maybe I have to get a different thinking in my brain when I start looking at the squares on the Zoom this week. I'll have to see if I can spot something like that. I don't know. One of the letters that's going to be on today, the guy that works in his flower bed, he actually saw like a little spark of some kind. And that is exactly what was going after the cats in the flower bed. So that's one of the letters today. So maybe I could. I don't know.
Well, for all the new people joining in, feel free to ask questions in the comment section. Marianne will answer you live. Questions about earthbound spirits, how they work, what the difference is between maybe them, those that have crossed over, them and spirit guides, why you would want to smudge to keep them from causing some havoc in the house. Even if you feel like they're not causing a problem, they kind of are. They're low-key causing problems for you, mainly in health. Energy portals, Marianne can answer questions about that, how to remove curses. So feel free to type in questions. We like interacting. Marianne likes answering.
Yeah, and this Friday is the Law of Abundance. So don't forget to do that. It peaks at 3:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, you have to adjust that for your time zone. But this is a good one to do it, because with the 2 full moons this month, that probably has even extra energy. So this would be a really good day to do the Law of Abundance.
I'm gonna have to remember that. And it's a nice time to get it done. You don't have to stay up all night.
Right. Anytime after midnight on the 16th, but before 3:30 in the afternoon. So you've got time all day long to do it.
I've bought one of those yellow Lego pads, and I keep making little rectangle squares out of them and do the checks every time.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just easiest, and a lot of people use checkbooks they don't use the checks out of them anymore. That works too. So, just people can get creative. I mean, I've already been in a restaurant where somebody saw me and it was a Law of Abundance Day. And she looked at me, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're Marianne." I went, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Oh, is today the Law of Abundance?" I said, "It is." And I remember looking at my watch and saying, "You got about 10 minutes." She wrote a check out on a paper napkin.
Hey,
It works. Just do it. You just have to do it. So,
and I mean, people, it may not always be necessarily money, right? Like, did you have a client that got like a year supply of dog food for free?
correct. Some people have won the lottery. Some lady got a kidney. Uh, it's pretty much what you need. Abundance is there, but you have to ask for it. Just doesn't fall in your lap. So once you ask for it, it's pretty good.
And it's not your regular weekly paycheck. That doesn't count.
No, that or the your income tax refund check. Nope, that doesn't count. It is something totally unexpected.
Mm.
Um, there in our old neighborhood, there was a lady that entered every contest that was in any magazine. And when she started doing the Law of Abundance, she had for the rest of her life, which isn't working very well now with the virus, but she had unlimited for the rest of her life TWA airplane tickets anywhere she wanted to go in the world, no limit.
Nice. Oh,
And right, another one won a car. She was a big fan of oh golly, what's that? Missouri, is that where the country stuff is, the stage where people go there, like Donnie Marie sing there and all
oh,
that?
Nashville and Tennessee.
Not Nashville, it's out west. I forget what it's called. Branson, thanks, hon. Branson. And she won. She could go there every year till the day she died, and that was her thing. She liked country music and that kind of stuff. So
Oh, wow.
it's amazing. Like I said, you don't know if you don't try.
Right. Well, I'll be making my checkout. I've
Right.
got a little stack of them in the cash register door from the times that I've been at the store, and I look, I'm like, oh crap, I got to hurry up and do this.
Right.
And I can't complain, like doing pretty well, I think.
It seems like sometimes you think, no, it's really not working. And then all of a sudden, I got a refund for what? I didn't even know I sent this in. So it's just amazing sometimes.
All right, guys. Well, feel free to ask questions, put in some comments. Hi, Gina. Marian is answering your questions live. Let's see, everybody. I think everybody's quiet. Nobody's wanting to be the first one to put a question in.
We may as well talk about being at the store that got us elite on the 24th.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You'll be there. They can come get their book signed and ask questions in person. Gina says she purchased a quince seed and it's working really, really well. So maybe for those who aren't familiar with your quince seeds, why don't we tell them what they are, how they work, or what they...
Okay. The quince seed is quince is a cross between a pear and an apple. So it's a tiny little seed that looks like either a pear or an apple seed. And my relatives energize them in Italy before I get them. And once the house is cleared, the seeds go over the door, and that protects the house from ever having an earthbound spirit come in your house again. So that always makes your house your safe space, but it doesn't do anything when you are not in the house. So people will get the charm to wear that has the seed in it. And
Mhm.
as long as you have that charm on you, no earthbound spirit can get 3.5, 4 feet close to you. Nobody can put on any negative energy on you, i.e., a curse. It's amazing, and there's so many different ones. This is a little zipper pull, and this little barrel has the seed in it. And then here are a couple charms, little angel, this little
So they're not overly big and cumbersome. They can be really easily worn.
worn. Right, right. A lot of guys don't wear jewelry, so they will get one and they will hook it to their key ring because guys always have keys in their pockets. And so if they've got that with them, then they've got it. But it really does work. People that have it, when they don't have it on, they know it. So it makes a big difference.
Okay. Lisa had a couple questions back when we were talking about the fairies. They're popping up over here on a different channel for us. She was wondering if that's why, you know how cats and sometimes puppies get the zoomies. Could they be chasing around any of these little fairy beings in the house?
Yes, they could, especially if the house, especially if I've talked to you or saw you on Zoom and the house is clear and there's no earthbound spirits in the house, which can aggravate animals also. But yes, that's a and mostly, believe it or not, it's the leprechauns that are the worst with animals. They really, really, and I'm sure not all of them, but a lot of them really aren't kind to animals, and I don't know why. Trolls and they're bad with farmers or people that are has livestock farms.
Mhm.
Um, they're sort of bad with that, and they don't always live under a bridge. So
Right, right. So for the law of abundance, the question was, should they put the date on there? And I believe
never.
no.
No, no, no. You never want to put the date on. You let's go this way. Okay, no date. I got that in the middle. There we go. No date, your name in full, no amount because you don't want to limit how much you get. You write paid in full, and then you just sign it law of abundance. Now the trick with this is it has to be done every month before the new moon peaks, and you can't throw these checks out. You've got to save them. I mean, I've accidentally thrown one out and the world didn't come to an end, but you save them. I literally have shoe boxes full of these checks because I've been doing it for years and years and years and years and years. So, but nope, no amount and no date. And if you're using a check out of your checkbook, then and your registry, don't write void. You've just voided the whole thing out. Write law of abundance so you know where that missing check is, but don't write void. Hello, Melissa.
Oh, I'm back.
Where are we? Okay.
I wanted to be able to show your example check really big.
Oh, yeah.
But I know, like in some places I've seen where when they're talking about the law of abundance check, sometimes they'll say when you make your new one, you can get rid of the old one.
I don't agree with that. I've heard you save it, and so I just save it.
Right.
It doesn't take that much room to save.
Right. Right. I mean, they're little bits of paper unless you're making ginormous art
Right,
projects.
right.
So there's a question about if those quinces could be put on like your puppy's or cat's collar.
Yes, they can. When I actually go to a house, I will give the seeds to people that go over the doors, that go in the vehicles, that go on the back of your driver's license or your cell phone if you're not going to get a charm. And then if there's a ghost or an earthbound spirit that's messing with your dogs or your cats and they wear collars, then I will give you a seed to maybe masking tape on it on the collar or duct tape it on. Or If you want to spend the money, go ahead and buy a charm and hook it right up there with their ID and their rabies tags. You could do that too.
Right. And those
For
little
people,
clip farms aren't that expensive, really. And probably
not for the work that they do. I think they're actually pretty reasonable.
pretty good. Um, so Natalie's question is if you see things through the corner of your eye frequently, does that mean you have earthbound spirits? She's having that happen, but it's so quick that she can't really see what it is.
And that's exactly out of the corner of your eye tends to be more an earthbound spirit. And it's like you're walking and you go, gee, what was that? And a lot of people, if you've got animals in the house, you think the cat ran by or the dog ran by, or but if you don't have animals and they're sleeping in the living room and you saw this in the hallway or in the bedroom, you
Mhm.
probably have an earthbound spirit in the house. That's probably doesn't mean it's there 24/7, especially if this isn't something you're seeing all the time. But if you're seeing it occasionally, maybe it's just it could be a nosy ghost neighbor that just popping in and out and seeing what's going on in the neighborhood.
Which I had that lady that was doing that little gossip thing.
I tell you, they hear everything that goes on in people's houses, and sometimes they haven't talked to anybody in so long, they're just going to start gossiping right off the top of their head. You'd be surprised. A lot of times I'm sitting there going, la, 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 la. I don't really need to hear that because I don't care who's sleeping with who. So,
Like that's just not important at the moment.
no, no.
So Gina, who had said earlier that she had a seed and it was working great, she was saying that she had been getting headaches, but now that they're gone, and that the house feels so much better since smudging. But that brings up a good point. Having the earthbounds in the house can cause some health problems.
They can. With children, especially under 10, 12, it's going to be constant ear, nose, throat, upper respiratory problems, 2 rounds of antibiotics all the time. 1 round never gets it. Adults, bad headaches, lower intestinal problems, and you are tired, tired, tired all the time because earthbound spirits need human energy to keep going. And so they just suck it right. They're almost like energy vampires, just sucking the energy right out of you. And so, yeah, and smudging is terrific and it really works as long as you do it at least every 12 to 14 days because that's all it lasts. I don't know how many people saw that the city of New York thought that it was such a negative city that they hired somebody to smudge New York City. There's the smudge stick. I'd like to know, what do you need, a blowtorch to light this
I would
thing?
think so, because just
Yes.
even one of those grill lighters isn't going to be enough.
Right, not enough. And I mean, it's longer than this picture is. So I thought this was hilarious when I saw it. People go, oh, I don't want to smudge. Do you really not want to smudge? This is what you don't want to smudge with, right?
Oh, right, right. Um, let's see. So Andrew has a question that he bought your book and have read about people who see ghosts getting overwhelmed by having too many spirits trying to talk to them. His question is, how do you keep from being overwhelmed? Um,
Gosh, I don't remember that in my book saying that. Uh, Boy, you've got me, Andrew, because I don't know what you're referring to. However, when I go into a house, they talk. Nobody tries to over talk anybody else. If I look at them, they'll start talking, or I'll go, yeah, yeah, okay, let's talk to you now, and it works. I don't really know how many other people hear them as clear as I do. I'm sure there are. I'm positive there are, but I don't know who. So I think that if you're a person that is not trying to get rid of them, stop talking to them because all they're doing is they are being an energy drain. And once you have a spirit and you start talking to it, Now they know you know they're there. And sometimes that makes them act 10 times worse than they have been. So just be careful. You just don't know what you're getting yourself into.
So I'm assuming her name's Stacy. She says she has all of her seeds, but she hasn't done anything with them yet. And there was part of her other question that's been broken up in between some others. But she was wondering, do they need to be blessed before you can do anything with them, or can she start, wearing them or using them with her, like her animals, maybe?
She is saving all of her quince seeds. What did she do? Buy a quince and take the seeds out?
That I'm not sure.
I don't give anybody loose seeds, so I don't understand where that's coming from. You can save a quince seed all you want, quince the seeds out of a quince seed, but they are not the same seeds that I get from Italy. That the energizing work that they do with it, I wouldn't have a clue how to energize them if I went to the store and bought a quince seed. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with them. So I don't think I can answer you because I don't know where you got them from.
Right. But if she had gotten them from you, she could put it on her keychain or put it on
Of
her
course, if they're
necklace.
my seeds, then they're going to work. Do not put them up in your house, though, without checking with me if they are my seeds. Because if you put a seed up and you do have an earthbound spirit in the house, you've just trapped it. And oh my, that's one thing you don't want to have a ghost in your house that you've trapped because that makes them very angry. So don't do that. But if they're mine and you want to put them up, give a call and we'll see if the house is clear. Come on Zoom or something like that.
Right. Yeah. She did say that she just bought them because I know you can buy quince seeds like on Amazon and stuff, and that's
They're not mine.
basically planting, to grow the bush, right? Because it's more of a bush than a tree.
Correct. It is a bush. Yeah.
And
And once you plant it and it starts growing, once it's grown, it takes 7 years before it bears fruit. So it's a process.
it's a long investment of time and care.
That's right. And oh yeah, about the time it's bearing fruit, you're moving. Great. So yeah.
So Sue's question, she says for smudging, she sometimes uses her drum and walks around the house and kindly asks on when to unwelcome spirits to leave. Other times she uses her lavender spray, and that she can't do the smoking because of her smoke detectors, and she's wondering if all of those are equally effective.
I have no idea about the drum and walking around or the lavender. The only thing that I do know about is the smudging stick itself. And I know that there is a smudge spray that does not work very well. Um, I know it's a pain to disconnect the smoke alarms, but or maybe you could have somebody do it for you if you think that if that's what you're trying to do is get the earthbounds to quiet down. But I really don't know. I don't know. Do you know anything about the other stuff, Melissa?
Um, I have had colleagues who were actually out in Lilydale use a crystal tuner fork, and it's a certain frequency. And without even like when they were playing with it, they weren't doing it specifically to kind of bounce the spirit out, but that's what happened. But it's a certain frequency and it's a very high pitched frequency. Um, drumming, I'm not aware of drumming, which is a lower, sound frequency working too well. Um, and again with the spray, I would have to think it's pretty on par to what the sage spray would be. Like you would be better off burning the lavender itself, I would think. Like you would burn the sage leaf would probably be better than just using the spray.
Yeah, but I don't think lavender is anything that makes them lethargic or quiets them down.
No, it's usually like the sages, I think,
Wheatgrass.
like the cedars, frankincense, myrrh combo.
Right, right.
Um, but lavender, not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of either. So that I don't know about. There's so much, I know a lot of stuff, but there's 10 times more stuff that I don't know. I don't think everybody can know everything. And, in all honesty, what works for one person may not work for another person. Sometimes you have to try two or three different things to see what works best for you.
Hmm. So Gina is asking if she can hang a quince seed in her house after smudging, and how many quince seeds are needed in a large house.
Um, well, any door that goes directly to the outside needs a seed. Any fireplaces that are flued need a seed. If you don't have city water and you have a well, that needs a seed. If your garage is attached, the door that goes out into the garage is not an outside door. The garage doors need seeds. If you have a service door out of the garage, that needs a seed. And so I have no idea how big your house is. Um, One of the people that I did the Barrymore house in California, and I'm not going to remember, Beverly Hills. We needed 128 seeds for that house. So you can imagine how big that house was. And you can go ahead and buy the charms for all of those openings if you want, and smudge, and then call, because the same thing, just because you smudge doesn't mean that they're going to go. They're going to be lethargic. You may have to smudge 2, 3, or 4 times before they finally get the idea that you don't want them there. And again, if you put the seeds up, you're going to trap them without checking first. You will have your hands full. There's no doubt about it.
Now they're going to throw a fit because they can't leave.
But that's exactly right. Yeah.
So it's not necessarily your square footage of your house. It's doors, windows, fireplace, those
Right.
type of things that
The
counts.
square footage of the house is what determines how much of a smudge stick you need,
Mhm.
not how many seeds you need.
Well, and that
Because
would be tricky because, some people like to walk in a room, swing it around, and then go to the, and I'm like, well,
no,
no,
no, no, no, no, no, no, no,
that's
no,
like
no.
only vacuuming the center of your carpet and leaving.
That's a good example. No, you start at the perimeter, you hit a closet, you open the closet door up, you get smoke in there, continue around the room. If that closet has an access to an attic, you need to take the cover down and you need to get smoke up in the attic. And if it's an attic you can't get into or stand in or go into, then stand there with your stick smoking and use a hair dryer to blow the smoke up in there, because the one place you don't get smoke is where they're going to be hiding. So you have to make sure you get every nook and cranny. And it's a commitment because you need to do it at least every 12 to 14 days. It only lasts that long. So don't go through the whole effort of doing it and waiting another month because you wasted your time, wasted the smudge stick. Didn't do any good.
Right. Um, let's see. So, new people coming in, feel free to ask questions in the comments. Marianne's going to answer live for you. Questions about earthbound spirits, as you heard, the smudging, energy portals, removing negative energy. We're throwing in fairies as a topic.
Sure, why not?
Right. We're going to throw that in on you, Marianne,
Right, right. Let's do that.
just to spice it up a little bit. So it's not always the same thing over and over again. Um, because Marianne, you can see little fairies. Now, do you see the gnomes ever?
No, and I have seen fairies actually.
Mm-hmm.
I had a house to do, and we were sitting in the dining room actually talking. It was an older house in Lakewood, and you don't see it very often. Well, you don't see it in new houses at all. But she had to go get something to show me, and she left me in the dining room. And her door that went into the kitchen was a swinging door, which is, like I said, you don't see that very often in houses nowadays.
No.
And she had to go upstairs. When I come in somebody's house, I sit down with them and I talk to them. I really never look around the house. I don't know. I just don't. And but here I'm alone in this room, so I was sort of looking around. It was a beautiful old house with the built-in corner hutches, and so I was looking at them, seeing what she had in there, not getting off the chair, just looking. She had a beautiful light fixture, chandelier over this table. So I look up at the chandelier and I put my head down real fast because I I I saw this little thing about this big sitting on one of the arms of the chandelier, and I'm thinking, oh boy, something's wrong. And now I'm seeing little things. And I looked up again, and there was another one sitting on another branch of it. And I just put my head down, and their wings were going as fast as a hummingbird's wings. They were just going, sparkly. They were cute. And so I glanced, and I'm sitting like this, but I'm looking up like that, looking at these things. And there was a third one, and then she came back in. So I'm talking to her, but I sort of keep glancing up at this. And she just says to me, "You see them, don't you?" I said, "Oh, see what?" She said, "The little fairies that are sitting on my chandelier." I went, "Oh my God, thank God, you see them too." It's like,
I'm
I
not
was
worthy.
right. It's like either I need to be put on meds or taken off something because this isn't right. But then I see dead people, so what difference does it make? But so yeah, I have seen them. There's over the years I have done a number of houses with them, and nobody wrote about them, and there were enough letters where I didn't tell. But there was a couple, especially involving little kids, and this particular one, after it was taken care of and we got it out of the house, the little girl was about 4, and she handed her mother a picture that she had drawn, and it was this shaggy looking brown thing. And her mother said to her, what is this?
Mhm.
And she says, oh, that's who was taking my bed apart in the middle of the night. This thing was stripping her bed in the middle of the night, not touching her, but stripping her bed. And a 4-year-old doesn't know how to take the cover off the mattress, zip it, and take it off the bed. And she never woke up. This thing did that 3 times in a row. And sure enough, that was a troll that was in the house messing with the kid.
Right.
So
That's a little scary.
yeah, exactly.
So Gina's wanting to know if fairies can they protect you from the earthbounds or help keep them out?
No, no, 2 different entities totally. It's like your guardian angel and Michael the Archangel isn't going to get rid of the ghost in your house. 2 different vibrations, 2 different levels. The ghosts are dead. Their spirit is what is in your house. The little folk are not dead. They are alive. They just jump in and out of other dimensions. At some point, if I get enough calls or enough people, there is actually a recipe that you have to do to get rid of little folk in your house. I can't do it. You have to do it. But it's a commitment to do. And I can, like I says, I have to, I'll get the recipe out if people need it. But it's just the craziest thing.
Right. And Kathleen was asking what makes fairies angry, which we touched on like earlier, but cutting down their favorite tree or
Right, polluting their water, not cleaning the fountain, not letting it get slimy, letting your cats dig in their flower beds, um, any of that stuff. but on the other hand, I don't know what it's called. It's it's a craft where you use a hot pen and you can draw on wood. I don't know what that's called.
Pyro something because of the heat and the pyrolithraphy, I think.
What's it called? Oh, that would be so simple. Wood burning, maybe. Could be. You're probably right. So, but it was popular a lot when we were kids. I used you could buy a kit for a kid to let them do that. Um, but anybody that carves and whittles and does wood burning or uses wood, if it's discarded wood or dead limbs or something like that. But if you're going out and chopping down a tree or a healthy branch to do this, your wood sprites are going to let you know about it. They do not like that at all. And
Mm-hmm.
again, and the other thing too is that people don't realize Native American Indians have a very strong bond with them. But again, look at the four things that they protect, which is the same thing Native American Indians protect, Mother Earth. So it goes hand in hand. It's not so far fetched when you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. So Andrew was wondering if, as working as a nurse, would you recommend having a quince seed?
Oh, you betcha, especially if you're an emergency room nurse. Absolutely. Hospitals are full. City hospitals have more than other hospitals, but city hospitals have to take everybody that comes up to the emergency room door where other hospitals don't really have to.
Mm.
And so, but yeah, they are full. I have done floors and floors and wings of hospitals in the area, including the light flight helicopters. So they are everywhere. And most people will buy one of the charms that's snap on,
Mm-hmm.
and they can just hook it to their lariat where their ID card is. And that way you've got it with you all the time. But you definitely, anybody that's in law enforcement, anybody that works in a place where there's a lot of liquor served or a bar, if you work there, you really, really should. Girls that dance in bars, my gosh, you need a seat on you. You might have to tape it on with the Band-Aid because of not being able to put it in the pocket of something that you're, not wearing when you're dancing. But you can imagine the creeps that followed these poor women home from these bars, these ghosts. Not live ones, dead ones.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a whole other problem.
yes.
So Carla's question, and we didn't get it all. It looks like some of it might be missing. So we're going to kind of guess what her question is. She sees full body apparitions, and she's wondering what she should be doing with that ability.
Okay, first of all, are you seeing spirits that have crossed over, or are you seeing earthbound spirits? That would have to be determined first. If you're seeing ones that crossed over, which are the good ones, which do come and visit your relatives, your friends, they come in and out, your spirit guides, they're there. That's not a problem talking to them because they don't harm you, they don't take your energy. The seeds don't stop them because they don't have to be stopped. So you can talk to your blue in the face with them, that's fine, there's no issue there. But if you're talking to ones that have not crossed over, then you're setting yourself up for some problems. And if that's the ones that you think they are, then seriously, you've got to start smudging because you don't want them in your house. I mean, oh, I don't care that, hear some people say, well, they don't bother me, I don't care. But yeah, they do. They are taking energy from you. And So, it's your house. You decide what you want to do, but you really need to decide or figure out which ones you're seeing.
Oh, she just answered in that they seem to be in some various uh, age or style of dress. So maybe those that have, crossed over or not crossed over, I should say,
I
because
would say those are probably ones that have not crossed over. You know, this is October, this is Halloween month. This goes on all year, but people lose their minds in October for some reason. And if you have yourself and another adult living in the house and maybe two kids, you are not going to have a house full of ghosts. First of all, there's not enough live people for them to get the energy. In a two person house, you're not going to have more than two spirits.
Mhm.
It's just not going to. You walk around, you'd be a wet noodle. You would have, it wouldn't be like that. Now maybe you have them coming in and out, that they're not there all the time. That's a possibility too. And are you somebody that does genealogy? Are you somebody that does works in history somehow, where these are people from those type of time periods? I mean, that's a possibility, but I am seriously, do not talk to them. That's the very worst thing that you could do.
Right, because you're just giving them the energy for them to keep.
Exactly right.
So Kathleen wants to know how to protect your home against trolls and fairies, and maybe we should say that it's not a common thing that they're trying to get in. So it's not a new thing to worry about necessarily, unless you're purposefully maybe doing things that are
Right, right.
piss them off.
If I have told you when I talk to you that you do have the problem, then there are things that you can do that I would discuss with you. But I happen to know this gal, and no fairies, no trolls, you're fine. So don't even go there. Don't look for something you don't have. So you're fine as far as that goes.
Right. And for everybody else, it's not like a new thing that you have to be like, oh, add that to the list of things to start
No,
working.
no, 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 no. And if I hadn't gotten so many letters or questions, I probably wouldn't have even gone there. Like I says, I'm not sure what this is going to open up, but I think it's good for people to know that there is something of, when I clear a house, the homeowner will go, "Thank you so much," and "Thank you because now I know I wasn't crazy."
Mhm.
Well, if people are seeing these little folk running around their house now, and I'm saying, yes, they do exist, great. You're not crazy either. You really do have them.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah,
And I mean, and that's a genre that's a huge rabbit hole to go down into, just some books that I've looked through and read, and I deemed it was something not for me because I don't have the time to take that seriously. They are little beings that they hold you to your work and your word. And if some that are not as forgiving on forgetting to put out that plate of honey or milk or,
that's right.
and I'm just not, I ain't got time.
Right, right. I mean, one of the comments Ted told me that came in, because of course he looks at all that, I don't. And he said, it was funny. He said, some lady said, "I was just getting used to you seeing ghosts. You've taken me over the edge now on this. No, no, no," which is fine. I understand that.
Poor Ted.
Yeah, I know what I put him through. So,
So Gina wants to know if you've brought home an earthbound spirit to if they followed you home or.
nah, it's not even an option. I can see him coming. No, 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 no. When we lived in Worcester, when we first moved down there, that was many, many, many years in the 70s ago. And we actually had a property, an acre, in between two cemeteries. The backyard butted up into a cemetery. Now, let me tell you, cemeteries make your best neighbors. There are no ghosts in cemeteries. Everybody in a cemetery is dead. And if it's an earthbound spirit, who are they going to get energy from?
Mhm.
So seriously, but the paper used to come at the Daily Record used to come at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd go get it and look at it. And they did this years ago where our local papers didn't do it until recently, but they had a picture of every person that died in Wayne County in their obituary. So, and I never really checked those because I didn't know anybody. We didn't know anybody when we first moved down there. And so I'd get this newspaper and I'd look at it and I'd walk out of my living room to go in my kitchen and there's my dining room table and there's two ghosts sitting around my dining room table. And I would talk to them and they wouldn't talk to me. And I'd tell them to get out of my house and they wouldn't get out of my house. And I'm thinking, what the heck are these people doing sitting in my house? And then I'd look at the paper. Oh, that's Mr. Yoder. Oh, that's Miss Turner sitting over there. And then I'd look and see when their funeral was and when the burial was. And as soon as they were buried, they disappeared out of my house. So my house was like a way station where they just sort of sat around waiting for their funeral to be done. I never understood. Well, then I started looking at it because I'm like, well, why don't you go sit in your relative's house? Why are you sitting in my house?
Right.
And see, they all had the white light with them because they weren't stuck. That's what threw me. I couldn't understand that. And but then some of them that were there, they really didn't have anybody. Like all their relatives were dead. And so then I sort of felt sorry for them. And so it's like, well, fine, you could sit here until tomorrow when you have to go or whatever. And but that's seriously the only time that I ever had him in the house. I really never had him in the house beside that.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want the health problems of that going on, and or
Well,
you.
they wouldn't, with the white light around them, they wouldn't have a health problem. You wouldn't have an issue at that point yet. You wouldn't have an issue till they lost the light.
Mm,
So, and that's, like I said, that's what threw me, sitting there with that white light around them. It's like, so were you buried 3 days ago and you haven't crossed over? What's going on? They wouldn't talk to me. So
right.
I don't know. That makes me crazy when they won't talk to me.
I would have to wonder then. Do you know if they were buried in one of those cemeteries on either
Yes,
side?
yes, both of any of them that were sitting there were in either St. Mary's Cemetery or Worcester Cemetery. Absolutely, they were one or the other.
Okay.
And there were other houses there, but I don't know why they picked my house.
I wonder if and I'll let you know if should I die before you, I'll come and be like, Marianne, from this side, you're a beacon.
There you go.
And
Let
that's
me
why
know.
they
Let
come.
me know. I'm 30 years older than you, so that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see.
No, I'm like, well, how do they know that was your house they needed to sit in?
I don't know. I and the house had been vacant. I don't know. I don't know why they picked my house. And it's funny because we ate in the dining room every day, and if they were sitting there, one of the girls would set the table, and they would move and go sit in the living room because this business in the movies where you sit on them or they go through you is the movies. And so as soon as the dishes were cleared and the table was cleared and the tablecloth was put back on, there they were sitting around the table again.
It was almost like they were trying to be polite and out of the way.
Right. And they weren't talking to one another. They were just sitting there, just looking around, just sitting there.
That's hilarious.
My life is so strange.
We need another biography. You need the weird tales of.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So Cheryl says, I have been wondering what I saw walking through my dining room into my kitchen. I'm convinced now that it was a troll. It was about 4 foot tall, had long arms, dark clothing. I didn't know they exist. And she pretended she didn't see it and just let it do its thing. But can the troll be that big?
They can. Trolls are bigger. They usually start 3, 4. They can be as tall as 5 feet. Trolls are big. Leprechauns, believe it or not, can go up to 4 feet too, but you always know it's a leprechaun because they always wear green.
Oh, so that's just not media propaganda. They do always wear green.
They do. There's so much truth to folklore. You have no idea. And so you're right. That probably that probably was a troll. That there was a house that they had bought, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody in particular here, but they had bought Amish furniture from Pennsylvania. And when their furniture came, a troll was with that furniture.
Oh,
So, yeah. So they must have been using new wood, not old wood.
well, and I think there is, and I was trying to Google real quick, and that was going to be a long rabbit hole, not easily answered. But I remember reading somewhere that there are, and I don't know if can't remember if they're fairies or if they would fall into the trolls, but they're called brownies, and they're about 3 foot tall, and they're brown, and they, as long as you keep up your relationship with them, they can be helpful in the house.
But if not, they get really tricky. Really, really tricky. Now it's interesting. They don't break things in a house the way ghosts do. Okay, ghosts can mess with your plumbing and your electrical and your roof and everything else. And trolls or little folk don't do that. They break or move little things. They'll move all your jewelry. They'll throw wine corks on the floor. They'll break a cup, but they don't do the big things like a ghost does. So, but they can be. And sometimes if you just put some crackers down in a little bowl, or you use just a little lid from a jar and put a little bit of milk in here and put it outside, or put a drop of honey in there. They like peanuts too. Not peanut butter, but they like peanuts. I I don't know. But it sounds like that's what you've got. It sounds like you probably have a troll in the house. The
Yeah.
good thing about trolls is that if you don't see it on a regular, that means it may be just something that popped in and popped out. You're going to find trolls more in, believe it or not, new developments where new houses just went up. Because again, you don't know what was used for that. Was woods taken down? Did they clear a whole field? I hate to think what's going on where they're taking out uh, all the force and everything. I would imagine that it's like chaos down there where they're doing all of that strip stuff.
Mm, yeah. So Chris on another channel, I can't show the question on the screen,
Mhm.
but he says he knows it's a little off topic, but he was wondering if the energy for you is feeling heavier today.
No, it's same as usual. It doesn't. My house is clear, and you
I know I
know,
haven't been outside yet, so I can't really.
the thing is this. America, the energy in America right now is so darn negative. Everything is negative. And of course, we're in Mercury retrograde, and which is not going to help anything. But nobody's happy. Nobody's happy with anything anymore.
Mm,
And with this thing that just came out, that apparently everybody's waiting for this year to be over. We need 20 to be gone. We need a better year. Well, they're predicting 220, the 21 is going to be identical to this year. It's not going to get any better. So and it's affecting teenagers almost the worst. I have gone to a lot of virtual funerals for suicides of teenage girls. Guys, not so much, but the girls, yeah. This negative energy that's over everything. The virus, the election, the fires, the economy.
hmm.
Why are we happy when nobody's happy? And it affects everybody. The negative energy affects everybody really badly.
Well, and I know the Mercury retrograde, and I'm usually one that I'm like, But the last, well, maybe about a month, like if it's technological around me, it's been going wrong. And I stood out my driveway the other day because now the garage, like the indoor remote, it'll close and then a couple seconds it'll open back up. So I'll go out and I'll check the sensors, everything's fine, it'll close. So I have to stand there and keep clicking and time it to where it'll say shut. But the button outside, it won't move. The car, it won't move. And after everything going on with the new website trying to launch it, the new register, it's just I just remember standing out in my driveway and I'm like, I've had enough. Just damn it.
And this one actually started a couple of days ago. This one, I thought the last one was a pistol. I'm not sure about this one. And I just wish, in all honesty, that the election was not in a Mercury retrograde, because it's not over till the day after. So this election's going to go right off the rails. This is not going to be a good election.
I think Monday I'm going to purposely just go vote early and get it done and not worry about what happened to all the mail-ins and, shenanigans aside.
Exactly.
At least I was in the building. It was there.
That's right. That's right. But I would, don't wait till the last minute, because it wouldn't be surprised to me if all the machines went down and the electric went down or something terrible happened.
There was a state I saw in the news, somehow like a cable got cut. So on the last day of registration, like for hours, nobody could register in the state because a fiber cord got cut. I'm like, of course it did.
Doesn't take much.
Shenanigans.
So. Nope.
Okay, so Sabrina says her sister has a weird spirit in her house, that weird things keep happening. What can they do to get rid of it? I would say maybe they need to, which on our next Zoom, like join the Zoom, confirm it. But then, your suggestions there.
Well, it's the same, the one thing that you absolutely can do too is if you are, if you're religious and you're affiliated with some kind of a religion or church, you can have your priest or your minister come in and bless the house. Just don't throw holy water around yourself, because if somebody is there, that will make them angry. And then I believe in the smudge sticks. I really, really do. I know people think, we always say use a smudge stick, but it works. And smudge and try it for 2 weeks and then do it again and see if that doesn't make a difference, if the weird stuff stops happening in your house. If the weird stuff hasn't been going on long and you smudge at least 12 days and then 12 days later do it again, they will probably leave if they haven't got a foothold in the house. If they've been there longer, you may have to do it more often, for a longer period of time. And of course you can call or come on Zoom and we can see if that's what you really have going on.
All right. So there's Stacy, another question, wanting to know if you've heard about a woman who has maybe had abortions, if those fetal spirits hang around.
No, I have never seen a spirit of a child younger than 3. A guardian angel, a grandma, somebody comes and gets that. And that includes abortions, that includes stillbirth, anything like that at all. Babies never, never, never stay. They are taken into heaven. So absolutely not. And the couple 3-year-olds that I did actually see, they talked like they were 7 or 8. So, but the age I normally see kids stick around is 5, 6, 7, that age group. But think about it, if you've had kids and they've gone to kindergarten, you can't tell them anything. They know everything once they start kindergarten. So they're not going to go to the light. If that's not what they want to do, they're not going to go. Plus the fact that when a child dies, it's so sad and the parents are so upset that I think the kids a lot of times think, I better stay with mommy and daddy. So that would be one of the reasons that they don't cross over. I'm going to be doing a house taping this Friday um, for Channel 3 that's going to be aired over Halloween or that weekend or something. They haven't told me when yet. And the lady called. We had to make sure there was something in the house. And there is a little boy in that house.
Mm.
So I'll be talking to him when we tape on Friday. And that'll be aired. And we'll see why he stuck around. There was another ghost in the house too that came with a used piece of furniture. So we'll see what's going on.
So another reason why you have suggested for people carrying around sea salt if they thrift or antique, to help make sure nothing,
Follows you home.
yeah, it's a great deal because you get a furniture piece and a ghost.
That's right. It's the bargain of the day. But if you get anything or you take it off the curb on trash night, which I really wouldn't recommend, carry sea salt in the car with you, and anything that you get that's used, sprinkle some sea salt on it. And about 80% of the time, if somebody's attached to that, it'll knock that person off. Blessed sea salt works a little bit better than straight sea salt, but do something. Or anything you buy used, uh, bring it home. Actually, why don't you leave it in the car, close the windows up in the car, and smudge the inside of your car? And wait an hour or two and bring the stuff in. If somebody's attached to it, for sure, they will not be at that point.
Right. All right. It's already after 11 o'clock a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm having fun sitting here, like asking questions and making
Okay.
you do all the work.
Well, we're good for the rest of the Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. I know we didn't do it last week for appointment scheduling that was bad. And the week before we were in the afternoon, but we are definitely going to be at the same time every Wednesday now at 10 o'clock. I don't know, maybe not the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I don't know how many people will be cooking, but we'll think about it. And we have to let you know when the next Zoom will be too in November.
Yeah.
I was looking at Friday the 13th. I don't know if you're busy that day or not.
I will have to double check.
Check. Yeah.
There's been so much going on here lately.
Right.
In working around the whole COVID restriction thing. But I'll let you know. And then I'll make a banner and we'll put it on your YouTube.
Wherever. Right. And seriously, if you're in the area, come and see us over at the Goddess Elite. Plus, I'll have all of my products there, and you can start Christmas shopping. Melissa has terrific stuff in the store too. So just remember masks, social distancing. We're going to be very strict about that. And I'll do it again if it works out okay in December, but let's see how it goes this time.
Right. Yeah. So come see Marianne if you're local. Keep an eye out for the next Zoom. Those will be listed on the Goddess Elite page as well as Marianne's page with a link to be able to join. The Zooms are $20 to participate, and we keep it limited to a number of attendants, and everybody gets to ask 2 questions, and you can ask any of the following: if you have earthbound spirits, if you have negative energy or portal. Oh my God, Marianne, what's the third one?
Curses, negative energy, curses, ghosts,
it's
portals.
gone that quick.
Right. Yeah. And we might be adding little folk to this too. You never know.
Right. Now, if my house wasn't, protected by you, I'd be like, well, let's find out real quick.
Yeah. And see, again, keep this in mind though, the protection, the seeds don't stop little people.
They don't. And I can vouch for that because you got rid of the literal creeper that I had in here. And what was it like? Not even a week later, I was calling you up and I'm like, all right.
What's going on?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And
so the seeds they're not dead. They are not dead. So seeds don't stop them.
And that recipe, and I don't know if I still have it written down, but all it took was me and going and getting the plants and setting up and that was enough. Like they left. Like I didn't even have to go through the whole process.
Yeah. like I said, it's a process, and we might spend some Wednesday talking about just the recipe and how you work it. If we need to do that, we will do that. And at some point, if I need to, it'll be posted on my website someplace, the recipe.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us for our Wednesday, talks with Marianne, question and answer. And we'll be back next week at 10. So,
Yep.
bring some friends, share the events around, see if they have questions. And when we have the next Zoom dates, we will put those up on the Goddess Elite site and page and Marianne's sites and page. And we hope you can join us.
Okay, everybody have a great day.
All right, guys. Bye.